Welcome back to another video, everyone. Today's video, I'm going to be attempting to make a chassis mount splitter for the Fiesta. If you're new around here, I'll spin you around. Here's the car. So far we've been doing a wide arch conversion on it. So it's got wide arches, bigger bumper. Go back and watch the other videos if you want to see them being done. But before the bumper goes back on, I thought we'd have a go at making a splitter rather than just buying one. And we can kind of make it to the exact shape and size we want. So my plan is, basically, it's going to be about 3 inches all the way around. So I've cut this bit of cardboard out, I've just measured it. It's got more than 3 inches of clearance all the way around. I'm just going to use one of these little tracing marking tools. And I'm just going to draw all the way around the bumper, so it'll give us a mark. I've obviously set that 3 inches away. All the way around it, then we can cut that out. And then we can obviously mark where it's got a cut off for the front of the wheels. And then see where it's going to bolt on in the back, and it's going to get transferred out of wood. So I've cut the front off, so that's going to be sort of the rough sort of shape and size that it's going to be. Obviously it's going to get tidied up and whatever. So now what I do is, obviously on the back, it's going to have to come in at these points, because obviously this is where the wheels are here, so it's going to have to come in a bit and bring it down straight. I've just brought that in 12 inches each side from the edge of the bumper. It might need more than that, but we're not really going to know until it's on the car, and obviously once it's made out of wood we can add some in or take some more out. It's not that big an issue. You might be thinking as well it's like a bit short. That's because it is. It's not as, obviously the bit of wood will be a lot bigger, but it doesn't need to be full size at the minute because it's only cardboard. We can just stick more bits of cardboard on as we need. So the next step really, you need to get it bolted on the car, get the car up in the air and figure out clearance and where we're going to bolt it to. Mocked up the splitter, just trying to figure out where we're going to mount on it. Obviously I'll take the headlights out. I'm going to do bars that are going to come off the front sort of crash structure, and that will go down. So they're quite simple, they're just going to go along there. And obviously underneath, it's going to go all the way back to the subframe. And I'm probably just going to try and pick up off one of these mounting points and either bolt through that with some longer bolts or make some brackets coming off it or something. But it looks about the right shape. I might need to make this a little bit narrower, so obviously when that turns that's going to hit. But I reckon the rough shape, obviously it's not perfect at the minute, but is about right. So I reckon we'll transfer that into wood, because this is all it's very floppy and loose, it's quite difficult to work with. So we'll cut it out of wood, and then we can mock it up and it can just be held up with a jack then. And we can figure out brackets. I've got some big 3mm steel to make them front ones out once, and then we'll figure out the rear. But I think the amount of downforce this is actually going to create, it's not going to need a huge amount of strength. But you never know, it could be better than we think. So I've cut the splitter out of wood. This is just 12mm ply. I didn't bother filming it because it's just cutting it, drawing around the template and cutting it out. Now, it looks massive. Like from the sides, it's 3 inches all the way around. Apart from the middle, it dips in a bit in the middle. But, so I'm probably going to trim it down a bit because that's a bit extreme, especially for the road. That's like a leg chopper. And it's hitting, if anyone else has got, I think it's a Ruse Motorsport big boost pipe kit. This pipe here, it hangs so low for some reason. And it's the only one I can find that is actually like, it's two-piece. It's got that silicone joiner in the middle. And it just doesn't seem to fit. Like, no matter what you do with it, it either hits the subframe or it just hangs really low. So I might have to try and get like a one-piece AirTech pipe or something like that. I'll try and figure something out. But, because at the minute it's actually hitting on that. So I'm going to have to try and mess around with that to get the wood to touch on the subframe. So I think what I'm going to do now though, I'm going to figure out mounting it in the front just so it's held up so the jack can move out of the way. So I'm going to pop the headlights out and then we'll have a look at bending up some metal and see what we've got to do with that. Yeah, so let's start fabricating something, I suppose. I've measured down to the plywood and it's 12 inches, so roughly just about the middle of that. So all I've done is I've just bought a bit of 3mm steel bar I've marked it off at 19 inches because then that's going to give me my 12 up and then about 5 across, which might be too much. We can trim it down, but it's half this bit of material. So I'm going to cut this out and then we'll put a bend. We'll figure out where we're going to bend it. I've marked it off at 5 inches, so that's going to be more than enough to get two. We'll probably put two like 10mm bolts through the splitter into that. That's going to be more than enough to hold that. So I'm now going to try and bend this. It's only 3mm, so it shouldn't put up too much of a fight, but I might have to heat it. I might have to cut a little slot into it just so it's a nice, obviously I need a dead straight bend, but probably need to beat it with a hammer. Nice big hammer. Let's try and bend this flat. So that's how I'm going to attach it. You see how it's on that bit of, it's on this part of the chassis leg here. Just going to go all the way down there, screw through the bottom. Obviously I have to trim it a little bit, it's a little bit too long. But yeah, so I'm going to trim that so it fits a bit better. Do the same on the other side and then I'll get you back on. So I've just spent a bit of time making these. So I've trimmed them up the top because there's a little notch in the subframe, I'll show you. And obviously that's where the splitter's going to bolt on underneath. And they just drop in past everything down there. And so I'm going to have to do now, because I can't get anything in there to screw them on, I'm going to pull the bumper off. I know where they sit, so I'll take the bumper off, take the splitter out of the way. I'm probably going to riv nut them on so they could be removed if I have to. And then we'll have to rebuild it all again. And then we'll mark the holes in the bottom where the splitter's going to mount, and then we can take the jack out of the way, figure out what we're going to do about this boost pipe and the rear mounts, and put the back half of the splitter on, because I had to cut it in half to get it in the car because it was so big. We are all bolted on, so it's not obviously permanent at the minute, but you can take the bumper on and off with it in place, which is kind of what I wanted for if you've got to get in there and service anything, you haven't got to mess about taking all this off. So obviously I've got a couple of bolts in it. It's a bit wobbly, but obviously once that's all properly tightened, I might even just weld them brackets on and then put a little like gusset on them just to strengthen them up. Possibly, I haven't decided yet. We'll see what it's like once it's fully bolted up. But obviously the issue I've got now that you probably won't have on your own cars is I've got to try and figure out what to do about this pipe, because you can see it's literally just sat on the splitter. You can see how close it is to the subframe there. So I'm going to have to mess around with all this now, whether I don't know what I'm going to do. Obviously I'm going to start by just rotating them clamps, because that's quite obviously the first issue. It hasn't got to go that much higher, so maybe just moving them clamps will get it sort of close enough. And then obviously I'm going to have to cut, I mean you can see obviously where this is here, I cut it there sort of temporary, thinking, well, not knowing how much to do, but that wheel's obviously just going to smash straight into that. So I might bring this sort of edge here in line with the back of the wishbone. So it's probably another 5 or 6 inches that's got to come in either side. Because I'm thinking what I might do, I might go past the wishbone and then come out again and then back. So it's sort of wider at the back and skinnier in the middle. I've managed to sort that pipe out. So you can see there's clearance now. And now when we put this on, it now hits the subframe before anything else. It can't go any higher than that. And what I've done, because this is 122 centimeters long, so it's as wide as the biggest sheet that I can get hold of anyway, and it wouldn't fit in the car. And you'll see it better when I've got it off in a minute, but I had to cut the back part of it off just so I could get it in the car because it was so long, and I've reattached it with them metal brackets. You can probably just see there. So there's going to be a few of them along it. That'll be more than strong enough. And what I've done, I've just marked, so obviously where this is now, it's going to hit the wishbone, it's going to hit the wheel, so I've just sort of marked up roughly where it looks like it's all going to hit. So I'm going to bring it out from this point here. I'm going to bring it over across in line with the sort of wishbone bolt. Can you see that? So where that bolt is for the wishbone there, I'm going to bring it a line across to where that is and then just go all the way back with it. So it'll be quite a lot narrower. It's almost where that plate is there on both sides. And then, yeah, then we can do the rear brackets, because at the minute it's hitting on everything because it's so big. So I'd show you how I'm making these brackets. All I'm going to use, I went to, I think it was Toolstation or Screwfix, buy these little flat brackets. They're like £1 each, 3mm steel. They're quite beefy. And all I did, I just bent them into like an L shape. So in that way it can bolt. I'll show you where I'm bolting under the car, but it bolts on and it just drops down so that we can bolt the splitter to it. So obviously it's not perfectly flat with the underside of the car. So I've done that one. I'm going to bend this one, I'll show you how I did it, and then we'll fit it all. There we go. 2 brackets, both bent up. Let's get them on the car. It's quite difficult to show you this, but this is how I've mounted it. So you got this like subframe brace, one on both sides, and all I've done, I've just bolted that bracket underneath it with that bolt. That'll be fine, it's only a couple mil thick. So it's just going to point out the side sideways, and then we'll probably end up putting a riv nut in like one of these holes, or the bigger hole, and then bolt through that. So we'll stick the splitter back on, mark where that hole is, and then bolt it up. If you've never used a riv nut before, all it is, you can put it in a hole. It's basically an easy way of making a thread without having to tap it, because that's obviously way too thin. If you tap a thread, it's just not gonna be great. It's not gonna work very well. But you put a riv nut in there, you can wind on them pretty hard. So you just drill the hole out to the right size. You don't have to have this special tool. You can just do it with a nut and bolt, but it is a lot easier with the tool. You squeeze it like you would a normal rivet. And there you go. You've put a thread in a bit of metal. Ever so easy. Just wind the tool off. Just like that. Brilliant idea. It's on. It's obviously not fully mounted yet. I need to get some nuts and bolts, and I need to riv nut in there. But for this video, I'm going to leave it here because obviously I'm going to have to wait probably a week or so to get bits. But it's, you know, fully bolted on underneath. It's pretty solid, to be fair, considering it's not fully bolted up yet. I might try and, I think you could do with some sort of brace in the middle, because it does flex a bit in the middle. I wouldn't stand on it because it would probably break. So I don't know how to. Maybe I could get a bracket. If I take the intercooler out, I might be able to get a bracket down to the middle just to strengthen it, or even just put a long one across, potentially like a 3mm or 4mm bit of plate. Not sure, or even just screwing it to the wood would help. But what I'll do, I'll chuck the bumper back on quickly, and I'll let the car down, because then obviously you'll see what it fully looks like. So let me do that, and I'll roll the car out. There we go, it's outside. I'm really happy with it. It's come out really well. Obviously it looks a bit strange because it's still just the plywood finish. So obviously once it's painted black, it'll blend in a bit more with the rest of the black bits. But yeah, it's come out really well. So that's going to be it for this video. I'll finish the rest of it off camera, but you don't need to see me taking the splitter on and off another 1,000 times. It's just a case of drilling a few holes and some bolts. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Subscribe. I'll see you next time.